They say not to talk about politics. That's exactly what we're going to do. I'm here to discuss my takes, my opinions on what it means to the overall real estate market and Florida specifically if Vice President Harris becomes president or if former President Trump becomes president yet again. So does it matter, overarching, does it matter who the President of the United States is to the real estate market? Well, it does. And here's why. Who the president is sets the tone for deregulation or regulation in the banking system. It matters how much pressure is being applied to lowering interest rates with the Federal Reserve. Things of that nature have a direct correlation with how strong the real estate market's going to be. So Vice President Harris is a big proponent in traditional liberal Democrat ideals. What does that mean? We could see more gift money for first-time home buyers, Section 8 rent support payments. So really, she is a great candidate for real estate investors because we could see government coming in and helping renters rent at higher rent rates so landlords make money. That's right. They're pushing us to being a rental country. That's why all the hedge funds are buying real estate, etc., is they want to become the United States of rental America, which is fine. I'm a real estate investor. I recommend you become a real estate investor as quickly as possible so you can reap the benefits if Vice President Harris becomes president. In addition to that, the U.S. debt and deficit will continue along the same path. Because remember, she's the vice president now. So she's very much involved, especially with Joe Biden. I think we all know that Joe Biden, maybe isn't as involved as most presidents traditionally are.
I know I only look 40, but I'm a little bit older.
So we can assume safely that Vice President Harris has been very involved in the administration. So you can expect more of the same if she becomes president. We're going to have the same type of people running the bureaucracies in Washington, D.C., and we're going to likely even have a lot of the same cabinet members stay on. So you're going to see a continuation. So if you've been happy with the Joe Biden administration the last 3.5 years, vote for Kamala Harris, and you're going to see the same. And you're going to see the U.S. debt do the same things, which means interest rates are coming lower because there's only two ways for a government to handle a big deficit, which leads to a big debt load. We have a huge debt load in this country. We're about $35 trillion in debt and a massive deficit. So in order to combat that, a country can actually allow inflation, which is what they just did, because that actually devalues how much debt there really is. 35 trillion 5 years ago is a heck of a lot different than 35 trillion today.
Inflation?
That's a mess. Your money would be worth less and less.
The second way that you can combat a high debt load is by having super low interest rates so that you can afford the debt payment. Well, that's where we're going right now. They did the inflation, so they lessened the debt load purely by inflation. Now they've got to bring interest rates way down so that people can afford the debt load that they have. So I always find it comical when people will ask on Facebook or other social medias, are we ever going to see a 3% interest rate again? Everybody, and I mean everybody, is like, no, we're never going to see it again. That was a once in a lifetime thing, blah, blah, blah. They are so wrong.
Wrong. That is absolutely wrong. Proved over and over again.
Wrong. We're absolutely going to see a 3% interest rate. I don't know when that's going to happen, but in my lifetime, will we see 3%? There's zero doubt that we will see a 3% interest rate again. So we're not going to go to 3% in this next down cycle, but we're certainly likely going to go to, 4.5%, 5%, whatever that number is, which is going to spur massive activity in the real estate world because remember, we have no inventory overall. Even though inventory rates are floating higher now, this country hasn't been building rates at the rate that it needs to. So now let's jump over to Donald Trump. Pretty much everything applies that I just said for Kamala Harris. The difference being Donald Trump is going to push way more deregulation in the banking system. So he's actually going to make money even looser for consumers to get, and he's going to apply direct pressure to the Federal Reserve to lower that Fed funds rate and lower interest rates. So Donald Trump is basically Kamala Harris on steroids when it comes to the real estate world, because he is going to push for low interest rates. He wants money to flow, and he is going to deregulate the banking system so that they want to lend more money out to the consumer. So for the buyers and sellers out there, Donald Trump might have the advantage. Now, where he doesn't is he's not going to push as much Section 8 money and different housing expense money. So if you're a real estate investor, you can make your money on appreciation with Donald Trump, but you might actually see less income on your rentals if you are a Section 8 landlord or an entry-level landlord owner who is dealing with other government rent programs. There is my honest take on the difference when it comes to real estate overall between Vice President Harris and former President Trump. Now, specifically to Florida, very fascinating conversation here, right? Imagine being a moderate to a stronger conservative on the Republican side, and let's just say you live in a blue state. You got a blue governor, a blue state legislation, and now you've got a continuation of a Democrat president. Maybe you've just had enough of being governed by people that you don't agree with. Well, that makes Florida very special because Florida has become the #1 state in the country for Republicans. So we could see an influx of Republicans moving to Florida with a Vice President Harris win. Now, what if Donald Trump wins? Well, Donald Trump lives in Florida. The man wants to put Florida on the map, so he's going to be pushing Florida as well. So I got great news for you if you live in Florida and you own real estate, or you want to own real estate. I think Florida is the biggest winner out of this election, no matter who wins. Does VP Harris drop the V, or does former President Trump drop the former? Remember to click on that subscribe button, especially if you're looking for someone who's honest and tells you reality like I do here. Remember, my name's Jeff Borham. I've always got your back, and no matter what, the next 3 to 5 years in real estate are going to be fantastic.